Now, over the past few weeks, starting from around late December, the trending news here in Lagos have been about the Magodo Saga, where some parties went to the estates and tried to gain entrance with a court judgment and trying to evacuate the current residents of the estates, while the estate also locked the gates and then also did their own protests just to show that these people don't have right to come into their property. Then different stages of the chaos and the saga also went back and forth, including the executive governor of Lagos State having to go to that location just to calm some nerves and also to make his presence known. Now, I know a lot of people have been following that trend and that news, but I just felt like, okay, since I don't really want to talk so much about it, but I feel for a lot of people that are investing in real estate here in Lagos, are investing in real estate here in Nigeria, and some are already skeptical about what the outcome of that current Magodo Saga or Magodo chaos is going to look like, how it's going to end. But in this episode of Meet the Property Guy, we'll be talking about what have happened so far, what's likely to happen, and the ramifications and the consequences of these different events on the real estate market at Magodo and also in Lagos, and most importantly, the lessons that you can learn from what have happened so far with the Magodo Saga. So, in case you are coming here, I posted a video like this for the first time. This Meet the Property Guy Property Channel, and this is where we discuss everything real estate here in Lagos, Nigeria entirely. We share tips, guides, and advice on what to look out for, where to invest, different risks about investing in Lagos, about investing in Nigeria, different benefits also, different challenges that also come with that. And after watching this particular guide about the lessons that you can learn from the Magodo Saga, you can also go through to our previous guides. We have topics we have talked about real estate companies, we have topics that we have talked about short stay, we have topics that we have talked about real estate investment and land banking and so on. So you are definitely going to learn a lot from that. So let's go into the topic, the Magodo chaos, the lessons that you can learn as a real estate investor here. Now, before I go into talking about the lessons learned, let me just do a simple summary of what's happened there. The property there were some set of people that were there around the 80s. Then the military government came and evacuated those people. That the property, based on the reports, that the location is to serve public use, build hospitals and whatever that's going to serve the public. So the people were evacuated and their buildings were demolished. So eventually, the military government didn't use it for public use. They turned it into a residential scheme and started allocating the plots for different individuals. Then the initial residents of the location then sued the government through a court and demanded that their property be returned to them, since the property is not being used for government use. So the property, that particular case, have been in courts for different judgments have came across that. Then eventually around 2012, 2014, a Supreme Court judgment in Abuja was eventually given that the Lagos State government should return around 540 plots back to the initial residents of the location, which were evacuated by the military government. So since the judgment had been given around like maybe 6 years, and then the actual judgments have not been enacted. That's why the initial settlers now, go to the court bailiff. The court sent a bailiff, and then they went into the estate and start marking the houses to enact that particular judgment, which the Lagos State governor had to come just to calm the nerves of the people that were there. Now, the first thing there, the first lesson is this: a CFO title is not an absolute title. I've talked about this in one of my videos before, which I talk about you can lose a property despite having a CFO. Now, a CFO or a governor's consent, which are almost the same, is not an absolute title. Your rights on that property can simply also still be fought against in court. Someone can still sue you for that property despite if you have a CFO or you have a governor's consent on it, and someone can still win you on that property despite you having a CFO or having a governor's consent on that property. So that's why you need to also do a lot of work on your property documents, on the property history. It's not just about the CFO is legit, the governor's consent is legit, and you buy and then you do your own governor's consent also. The property history of that property has to also be analyzed, just to ensure that there's no bottleneck at any point where anyone can use against you to render your CFO or your governor's consent useless. So that's the first lesson. CFO or governor's consent is not an absolute title. Now, the second lesson for investors is that a Supreme Court or a court, basically a court judgment in Nigeria, can revoke a CFO legitimately. So you can obtain a CFO or a governor's consent from Lagos State government, from Abuja, from Ogun State government, and whatever. And based on if there's a litigation case on that property, a court judgment can revoke it. Basically, the CFO can be rendered useless by a single court judgment. Very, very simple. Very, very simple. So governments themselves can revoke your CFO, but a court can also easily revoke the CFO. The current status of all the properties in Magodo right now is that all the properties and all the houses that are there right now does not have a title, because the Supreme Court have already revoked all the CFO that the Lagos State government have issued on every property in Magodo. So it means that all the CFO or the titles are rendered useless and they don't have title. So a court can easily revoke the CFO title is within that jurisdiction. Now, the third lesson for investors is that always be mindful of who you are buying a property from. Now, it may sound a bit funny, but the only reason why all the houses in Magodo are still standing right now and the people that are staying there are still staying there right now is because they bought from the government. Now, assuming everybody in that Magodo and everybody that are staying there bought from families or bought from real estate company, they would have already been evacuated since like maybe 4 years or 3 years ago. So that's why you also have to be careful about who you are buying your property from. You need to buy your property from at least people that you know if anything come up, you can hold them responsible and they will show up. The Lagos State government were held responsible and the governor had to show up because the people bought from them and they issued title to them. So the government in this case had to show up because they were the ones that sold these properties. The reason why we advise sometimes also that you buy from reputable estate companies is because of things like this. Issues can always come up on the property, particularly in Lagos. Everybody has shook in Lagos. So you need to buy a property from people that you know that if anything happen, you can always hold them responsible and they will show up to defend whatever they know or to defend whatever they want to defend on that particular challenge or particular saga that happens on that property. So you get it now. So you don't buy a property from people that if anything happens, they leave you to face it on your own. Assuming the Lagos State government have left the people that are in Magodo to face it on their own, they would have been evacuated since a long time. So that's why you also have to pay more attention to the reputation of the companies, the families, or whoever that you are buying your property from. They can have the genuine title. It doesn't mean that someone cannot come up anytime to dispute their rights on that property. You just have to ensure that they have a good reputation, and if anything happens, you can hold them responsible and they will also show up. Now, the fourth lesson for investors is that considering how Lagos, a lot of things is changing in Lagos, I just want you to know that no property is 100% safe. I always repeat it in my videos about anything I talk about when it comes to investment, how you can make money, how you can turn around your cash and everything, but there are always risks attached to, particularly here in Lagos. So, no, regardless of the title that it has, forget it all. No property is 100% safe. These people bought from the government and they are still having these issues. Just imagine if they're not bought from Omonile, or they bought from one family, or they bought from hand to hand. So that's why you need to understand no property is 100% safe. Even the CO food, as we are all really clamoring, the CO food is even a leasehold. The government are not selling the property for you, they are only allowing you to be there for 99 years. After 99 years, they take their property back again. So these are just the kind of risks that you need to understand about your investment, your real estate investment, and that's why I don't advise putting all your eggs in one basket. Some people have 4 properties in Magodo, some have 3, some have 5, some have 6 properties in Magodo. It's never advisable for you to put all your eggs in one basket. Diversify. As you have properties in Magodo, put some in Ikeja, put some in Lekki, put some in VI, put some in Banana Island, put some in Ekpe, put some in Bejuleki. Just diversify. That's another lesson too. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. When it comes to real estate investments, don't just focus on one location. It's never advisable. The more you spread, the better. So that, you know, if anything happens, it's not that everything will affect all your investments at once. But when, you know, this happens, it affects this part, at least you know that you still have 3, 4 other safe havens, safe investments. It can be real estate too, safe real estate investments that are not affected by the saga that is happening here. So as an investor, don't put your eggs all in one basket. But hopefully we'll be looking at it. And what about the implications? The implications of what is happening there right now is that the market there will be a bit stable. Magodo is one of the most expensive places in Lagos. Actually, that Magodo Shangisha is one of the most expensive places in Lagos. So the appreciation rates this year will definitely be affected because a lot of people will not really want to buy so much properties there right now. So the appreciation rates, it won't come down. I don't see it coming down, but it won't really. It will be more stable. It will be more linear this year. And also, I predict even after this is resolved, a lot of people will want to sell their property. And this is my advice: if you have a property in Magodo, Magodo Shangisha, even if it's Magodo Isheri, don't sell it this year if you like yourself, because a lot of people that want to buy from you this year, there will be they'll be looking at it as a distress. So they'll be looking at it. So if the property is actually worth market value, maybe around 150 million, they might want to buy for like maybe 60 or 70 million because of the saga and the whatever that is there right now. So if you have a property there, don't sell right now because a lot of people want to sell. In a matter of months now, a lot of people will be putting their property in the market and want to sell. So I won't advise that you sell yet. So there will be a lot of distressed sales there in the next 6 months, the next 8 months. A lot of people want to just sell off and move on. So we'll be following it, and then we'll be looking at how that eventually pan out and how the Lagos State government are going to eventually resolve the current challenges they're having there. But there are actually some things that I don't really concur with how the entire Magodo saga actually went out, particularly in terms of the court judgments. The Supreme Court are already aware that the Lagos State government have sold this land, and they're also aware that the people that the government sold this property for, they are built there. So how do they want the government to give people back 540 plots? I think the better way would have been the court actually maybe giving the government that okay, current plot of Magodo is like maybe 100 million times the 100 million by 540 plots, and then the government to pay these people back the value of that property. Telling the government to give them land in a place that is already built up, in a place that they have sold since almost how many years ago, is, I don't know, it's just going to likely create another bigger issue and create another bigger challenge for the people that have already been there and bought from the government. But again, the case have been in court for like how many years, and that's one of the challenges with buying a property that there's already a litigation case on, regardless of either his high court or his court of appeal. As long as there is no Supreme Court judgment on that property, it's always a very, very big risk to buy it, because once you buy it, you don't know where the pendulum will swing. If you swing in your favor, fantastic. But if the pendulum swing against you, you are likely going to lose that property. And that's what the people there right now are realizing and finding out. But okay, we will look at it and then eventually follow the story and see how it panned out. But these are just the different lessons for you as an investor, as a real estate investor, that you're already investing in Lagos or about to start investing in Lagos. These are just different lessons you can learn from what is happening in Magodo right now. So as you mentioned about property on the planet, your property advisor, your property consultant, Rabi Mustafa, thanks again for watching this video. Thanks again for watching, for following us. Thanks so much also for being a big fan, for people that have commented, people that come down to my inbox for inquiries. I so much appreciate you guys. So if you have learned a lot also from this video, kindly give us a thumb like. Don't forget, give us a thumb like. I'm definitely going to appreciate the thumb like, because it shows that you appreciate our content, you appreciate the efforts and the time that we put in. And we also so much appreciate you. Also so much appreciate your time also. So kindly give us a thumb like, and then we are also going to appreciate that a lot. So thanks, and see you next time.